But LaMelo, what he showed last year, the improvement of his jump shot, the improvement of his shot selection over the course of the year, I think his defensive focus got better too. He looked like, that superstar potential player.
All right, this first one is from Joseph. He says, am I crazy for thinking the Hornets had one of the best off seasons and will solidly be pushing for an actual playoff spot and not just play in?
I don't think it's crazy. They had a good draft. Book Knight, Kai Jones, LaMelo Ball, conceivably should, have experienced further improvement. Get Gordon Hayward back. Maybe he plays a quarter of the games. You hope he gets.
Boo to you.
I'm just saying. I'm being honest here. You hope that he can. And Terry Rozier has not shown any signs of slowing down with his development. He is constantly getting better. So I think I look at this Hornets team. They are at the least very fun, very competitive playing team at the least. If you get some improvements from some of these younger guys that we're talking about, if Hayward can stay healthy for, the entire season, he looked great last year when he was healthy, Chris, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Like first half of the year, he looked terrific.
Yes.
So this Hornets team is deeper. It has more upside because of the youth. But I agree. They had one of the better off seasons.
They added some guys. They added Kelly Oubre. They added Ish Smith, who's been on 70 teams, but is certainly playable as a backup point guard. Wanamaker, I think, is there now too. You mentioned their draft. When Hayward was healthy, you got to keep in mind, they were like the 5 seed. And it took a while to get LaMelo into the lineup, starting, and then integrated. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I do. I like that team. I like Charlotte. Now, I will say, I do think once they get to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, they're going to have some problems until they get some real, legitimate size. That's going to be an issue because it's not when you're going up against the Giannis's and the Embiids and the
you gonna say Biombo right there?
No, I wasn't going to say Biombo. I wasn't going to say Biombo. I was going to say Adebayo, which is understandable that I would slip on that. I didn't want to say the wrong name. And Bam Adebayo. And
you got the Joel Embiids and the Bismack's beyond.
Yeah, and they've got Biombo and Mason Plumlee and Vernon Carey and Kai Jones is playing his first. Yep. They don't have I know they've got they got Miles Bridges. They're really outstanding small. They are because they can go small and 5 wide. And I really like what they bring to the table. And they can get up and down the court and they're high flying. I just will say that once you get to the playoffs, that your limit is going to be. Or your ceiling's going to be a little bit lower until you get some size on that team, some better. How about that? Better size. You have size. It's not good enough. But that's not that far off. You know what I'm saying? If you did get some size on that team, I love a lot of their perimeter guys, and they are fun as all get out. Their announcer trips me out. And so I'm a Charlotte fan.
Amazing.
And again, I'm talking about the ceiling. I mean, come on. You're just wanting to be a playoff team this year. You're not trying to it's not the expectations aren't that you're a second round, third round championship level team. I do think the Charlotte Hornets will make the playoffs. I do. So, yeah. I mean, it's a good offseason. I think their internal improvements more to monitor. LaMelo, Bridges, PJ Washington, these guys should still get better as time goes on.
Speaking of which, Dylan had a follow-up question. Well, he didn't know it was going to be a follow-up question, but we're making it a follow-up question. This is the most optimistic I've been about Charlotte basketball since I became a fan in 2004. But at the end of the day, all these good pieces don't matter much unless LaMelo becomes a legitimate superstar. What do you think LaMelo's ceiling is?
I'll tell you what. I mean, LaMelo was a guy that I stupidly did not have ranked number 1. I think a lot of people made that same mistake. I mean, some people had Edwards number 1 instead of LaMelo, and we'll see how that works out over the course of time. But Edwards looks good as well. But LaMelo, what he showed last year, the improvement of his jump shot, the improvement of his shot selection over the course of the year, I think his defensive focus got better too. He looked like, that superstar potential player. It's going to be a matter of sustaining his improved efficiency with higher scoring volume. But Chris, I mean, there's very few passers that are as talented as him. There might not be any as dynamic as him, with his height and his ability just to make any pass on the court, and the creativity and the daring nature that he has on the floor. He can make guys better, and he can also create shots for himself. And as he continues to develop and improve his skills, like these are ingredients on the offensive end of the floor that give you clear and obvious superstar potential. My thing is, like, we made a video breakdown of him earlier in the year. Like, is LaMelo Ball a future MVP, right? Do you think LaMelo has, like, I think he has very clear star upside. Do you think LaMelo has even MVP contender upside? Can he tap that level
I would not,
someday in the future?
I would not leave that off of the table as a possibility. Given what we just saw in the 1 year that he played, I would not leave that off the table. I would say, I think conservatively right now, his ceiling, when you say, can he be a superstar? The answer is yes, he could be a superstar. And I would say it's fair right now to say there's a difference between making all-star teams and being all-NBA. And I mean, one of those 3 teams, so you're one of the 6 best guards in the NBA. I would say it's fair to say, and those aren't always superstars, right? Kemba Walker made an all-NBA team one of the years as one of the best 6 guards in the NBA, but you wouldn't say he's a superstar you can build your team around. But I think it's totally fair to think that LaMelo Ball could make all NBA teams one day, for sure. Sure.
I'm with you completely. I mean,
and then the superstar thing is, do you make everybody better to the degree that I put you on a team and I'm winning a bunch of games? That's how I look at a superstar. Superstars are very rarely on losing teams. And sometimes we throw that around, that label, easily. But to me, they're guys that you could put on a team with a group of guys, and you're still going to win games just because they're such a force of nature, like we see with Luka, like we see with many guys throughout the league. And could he be that? I mean, that's left to be seen. I mean, you're also the guy that's closing out games when you're that guy, which is something we didn't see much of in year number 1. But the potential is all there. There's nothing that could happen with him. There's not a how good he could get that I would be stunned by.